Okay, back to the downtown Sheraton Hotel. They hosted one of the most notable people in the world when former President Barack Obama came to Salt Lake City.
That's right. In 2015, President Obama came to Utah to give a speech on solar energy at Hill Air Force Base, and guess where he stayed during his visit?
Okay, we're going to head back out to Ron at the Sheraton with former Utah Governor Gary Herbert telling us how he remembers it.
That's right. We are in the presidential suite right here where the president stayed. And, you know, Governor Herbert had a lot to do with President Obama coming to town in 2015.
Well, I had an opportunity to invite him. He'd been checking off the states. He'd been in there for nearly 2 terms, but he had never been to Utah. His wife had been to Utah, who I had greeted before. I said, President Obama, you need to come to Utah. And I had to remind him a couple times, but he finally said, I'll be there, Gary, I'm coming. And he did come. April, I think, of 2015.
Oh, that's right. So we're standing in the presidential suite right here. I mean, of course, it's kind of been disassembled. I'm sure it looked better back then. You've got the bedroom itself right over there. And they've been selling, of course, liquidating just about every item in the hotel, including what was here in the presidential suite. So tell us about that trip and the involvement you had with the president.
Well, as head of the National Governors Association at the time, I had the opportunity to interface with leadership in Congress and certainly the White House many times. And so as we talked about coming to Utah and taking a look at what we're doing here, we have a great model. We're leading the nation in economic growth and development, great quality of life. So he agreed to come. And we had an opportunity to pick him up at Hill Air Force Base, right on the limousine back here. We talked about border control, border security. I talked about the problem. We talked about the border and the wall and the fence. We don't talk enough about the gate. And we talked about what we should be doing as a community, as a country, when it comes to border security and securing our borders. And
President Obama were. Oh, you got along really well.
We did. Again, I was the head of the NGA at the time. He was part of the time that he was president. So we interfaced a lot. A personable guy, friendly, well, basketball player. And so we didn't agree on all the policy things, but we also had a good relationship to talk about things in an open and frank way about here's what I think we should do, here's what you think we should do. Can we find compromise and move ahead?
Okay, so a little bit of history here. I was a little surprised that he actually stayed at this hotel. What about you?
Well, it was maybe not our nicest hotel in downtown, but I think he had a connection with the owners here, and I think the labor unions, and so he thought this would be a good place. Yeah, it's nice to have a place where they had to put buses and tractor trailers around there for a barrier.
That's right. All around the perimeter, they had garbage trucks, dump trucks. There's no way you could squeak through there. I remember that.
It's quite an operation. I mean, the advanced people come 2 weeks early, check out the routes. What are the alternative routes if they have to make a change? Where do our limousines go? Where do we park the SUVs? It's quite an operation, and they start 2 weeks out, generally speaking, to have the president come here to visit for less than 24 hours in Utah.
Yeah, and I remember they had sharpshooters right above us here on top of the building.
On the rooftops, again, people looking and securing the venue. We had protesters on the route. And when they came, we had it with George W. Bush, too, when George W. Bush came. We had it when we had President Trump come and visit Utah. So a lot of similarities, just different presidents, maybe a little different personalities, and certainly difference of policy.
Now, President Obama met with LDS church leaders as well in a conference room here at this hotel. And it's usually customary where presidents meet with the first presidency of the church.
It seems like something that typically happens is they meet the leadership of the LDS church here. Other religious leaders too, but meet with the leadership of the LDS church is a common thing when a president stops by, or other high-ranking officials in the government that come and visit Utah, and they have a meet and greet with the LDS First Presidency or members of the Quorum of 12 and others to help understand what's taking place in Utah, the culture.
Okay, so the president spent some time up at Hill Air Force Base too, and you actually rode with him in the limo from Hill down here, I guess, to this hotel.
I remember well. It's a nice limousine, as you can imagine. He and I were in the back seats. There was a seat that he propped down and put his feet up and rest his feet up on this bench. And it was a little warm. And I said, can we crack a window here? And he pounded and says, bulletproof windows. They don't roll up or down. So I said, well, turn on the air conditioning then. Get some air conditioning going here. But we had a good time and a good discussion. And Jeanette and I greeted him and down here at the Sheraton and had an opportunity to meet a lot of Utah people. A lot of Democrats, of course, came out to support him, but some Republicans were here too.
And you hosted Michelle as well.
I greeted her. She came to visit with some people up in Park City, and she kind of just slid into town without much fanfare, but I knew she was coming. I thought it would be appropriate for her, as the governor of the state of Utah, to welcome the First Lady personally. So I went out to the airport and greeted her. It took about 5 or 10 minutes and welcomed her to Utah.
And one cool story you shared with me, the president was talking. He didn't know that you were around, so he was basically talking behind your back, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, I was around the corner. I was supposed to introduce him at a function at the White House, a lot of other governors, and so I was the head.
And that was here.
No, here. That was back in.
Oh, that was back in Washington.
But all the operations here, the remodeling and the tearing down, remind me, because that's what they were doing in the White House. And I was around the corner and I heard some footsteps, and it was Joe Biden talking with President Obama, the vice president and the president together. And they said, "Hey, this guy from Utah, he's a good guy. He's good to work with." President Obama said, "Yeah, he's what Republicans used to be." So
I like that story. Okay, and of course, we're making room for the Western Governors University here, and Governor Mike Leavitt had a lot to do with that. And I guess it was much more successful than anyone imagined.
Well, Mike Leavitt, had the vision of let's have an online university here, complement what we already have of freestanding, typical traditional universities, and it caught on in a big way. And it was really managed well. They've been very successful financially, and now they're going to the next step here, having their own facilities here. But they're in every state now in America.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible place, and it'll be very noticeable. One of the buildings will be about 22 stories high. I think a total of like 5 buildings here. Anyway, Governor, thanks so much. Glad you come up here, and we kind of shared a little bit of history as the Sheraton Hotel, which used to be the Hilton a long time ago, is kind of fading away into history.
Well, it's great memories, and again, it's nice when the president stops by. We need to provide a welcome mat for whether it's Democrat or Republican here in Utah. We're welcoming people. I think it helps us to foster better relationships, to actually get good policy and get things done.
Yeah. All right. Governor, thank you so much. Always great having you on the show. All right, guys, back to you.
Wow, great stories. That's for sure.
Excellent.
Any chance they're going to keep the pool, Ron?
Actually, no. The pool is history as well.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I had that confirmed.
Okay, got it confirmed. Okay.
Great story.
All right, time. Remember, you can watch ARC Salt Lake anytime. Segments like that on your phone, your tablet, TV. You can check out the highlights on the ARC Salt Lake YouTube page. Just scan that QR code right there, and you can watch whatever you want.